What's happening, guys? I'm back again with another video, and as you can see from the title, this is going to be my WrestleMania 33 review slash kind of thoughts. And if I'm looking at something, that's looking at my notes, or I'm just looking at my notes, guys, just so you know. Without any further ado, let's get on to it. First and foremost, I gotta say, from the very beginning, we're gonna start with the pre-show, not even the kickoff, the pre-show with the Cruiserweight match. They kicked it off really hot, alright? I really enjoyed the Cruiserweight match. I thought for about 15 minutes of the time that they got, they really did work well. I gave it 3.5 stars. That is really good, right? If you know my rating, I rated by 5 stars. 3 is being good. So if you're at 3 stars, that is a good match. 3.5 is a really good match. And this was, right? It was back and forth. I mean, really, these two guys have great chemistry in that ring. The crowd was into it. A lot of people already in their seats, about 50,000 or so already in their seats. You could definitely tell that people wanted to see this match. So I really am glad that they got the time, because I don't think if they were on the actual main show, they would have gotten at least 10 minutes of time, but they got 15 on the pre-show. Really good. And Neville went on top. I thought Aries would win, but I should have seen it coming, because last year, Neville was supposed to win the IC title in the ladder match before he got hurt. So it's kind of obvious that Vince McMahon wanted to give him a win at WrestleMania. So cool stuff there. Now, the Underground Memorial Battle Royal, I could give 2 fucks less about. This was a 1.5 star for me, which is just meh. Mojo Rawley was going to win. I knew from the get-go. As soon as I saw Rob Gronkowski sitting in the front row, it was just an obvious thing that he was going to win. I don't know what they're going to do with him on SmackDown. I hope something decent at least, because I don't really like the guy. He needs a good character, and he really doesn't have that. He was cool when he was with Zack Ryder, and they were like the Hype Bros, but as a singles competitor, I don't think so. The IC title match was moved down to the kickoff right before the main show started, which is interesting because I knew something had to get moved down from the main card because the SmackDown Women's title match was moved up. So it was thankfully this IC title match, because no one really cared. It's not that the rivalry was bad, it's just people weren't anticipating a really good match, and it wasn't. It wasn't. It was decent. It was 2 stars. It was a decent match. Nothing special. It was okay. Dean Ambrose came on top. Dean Ambrose needed to win at WrestleMania in a singles competition, and he did this time and retained the IC title. Now, going into the main show, I really want to talk about the presentation. Not just the set, not just the feel, the way that it started, the opening promo package, the intro, the music, the way that they made you feel like it was an actual roller coaster, and it was going to be a roller coaster of emotions, as I'll talk about in a minute. And I love that. My friend JT Dangerously, who I was watching with, one of the people I was watching with, pointed out that he needs to see that in a movie theater in 3D, because, and truly, that entire intro sequence, as the ultimate thrill ride, was amazing. It was great. I really liked that. It made you feel like you were on a roller coaster, which was really cool. Opening match. Well, we started off with the New Day, and they said that we were going to get, thrills, and we're going to get emotions. We're going to feel everything. There's going to be, drama and high stakes, and by God was there. So we get to the first match, which was AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon. I was surprised the fact that this opened up, but for a 20-minute match, this was amazing. All right, a lot of people I read online, they didn't like the fact that Shane actually gave AJ a fight. I personally love that, because it showed that Shane McMahon can stand toe-to-toe with the best in the world at what they do, and AJ Styles is the best in the world right now in professional wrestling. So to see, Shane McMahon actually hold his own against AJ Styles, counter pretty much anything AJ threw at him, and have great spots in the match, and tell a very good story of that, hey, AJ was like, I'm going to throw something at you, and Shane was like, I'm going to throw it right back at you. And I love that. I love the story these two guys told, and thank goodness gracious AJ Styles came out on top, because he needed this win at WrestleMania. Fantastic match. I'll give it a 4 stars out of 5. This was amazing. Alright, I really enjoyed this matchup. The next matchup, we have Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho. I love this rivalry. I love both of these guys. I'm a huge Kevin Steen fan. You got to be a Jericho-holic. So I really enjoyed this match. This was 3.5 stars for me. This was a really good matchup. I really enjoyed the story these guys two told, right? This was them basically, they knew everything each other was going to do, right? And I love how they both countered each other's big moves. I love that. I love the actual, gritty wrestling these two showed. And that goes back to booking of the show, where we had a huge, great spot type of match with AJ and Shane. This was a more traditional wrestling type of matchup from these two. And they told, again, a very good story of countering each other and knowing each other, because of how much time they spent together as a tag team and the Universal Champion. And it was great. I really dug that Kevin Owens came out on top, because he deserved this win. This was supposed to be his win at WrestleMania. And I'm glad that he's the United States Champion. And now he's won pretty much every major title in the WWE, except for the WWE WWE Championship. He's won the NXT title, the Intercontinental twice. He's now a United States Champion. He's the longest reigning Universal Champion, and he's as I said, NXT Champion. So hopefully he gets the WWE title somewhere in his future, because then he'll be a Grand Slam champion, which is really exciting for Kevin Steen, if you ask me. Continuing on, which was the Raw Women's match. I was surprised this was so early up in the show, and it was this elimination match, and it was very short. It's like 11 or 12 minutes, and two out of the three eliminations were extremely awkward. Like, they were supposed to be like a spot where like the turnbuckle is exposed, but the turnbuckle wasn't. I think one of the referees didn't tell the girls to expose the turnbuckle. One of the girls, maybe Charlotte was supposed to expose it, or maybe Nia was supposed to expose it. But I mean, literally, like, Charlotte's elimination of Sasha was from like a spot of where the turnbuckle is supposed to be exposed, but it wasn't, which was really awkward. I mean, I dug how everyone worked against Nia Jax. That was cool, but that elimination was and Bayley win was kind of predictable, but definitely a decent match. I'll give it 3 stars. I'll give it a 3-star matchup. A little bit short. I think a little bit more time would have been better for these girls, because, let's be real here, yes, Sasha had that corkscrew, but we wanted to see more great wrestling from all of these girls. So, good stuff there. Continuing on to the 4th matchup of the night, which was amazing, alright, because I knew something was going to happen as soon as the show started, and for the 3 matches, we weren't getting the tag titles, right? I thought the tag titles, the ladder tag match, was going to open up, but for some reason, they were saving it, and of course, we know now why. The Hardy Boys. Now, I love the way that the New Day teased it. I thought they were in wrestling gear. People were like, oh my god, they're going to get into this matchup because they're the hosts and they're going to win the tag team titles. But no, they swerved us. They were like, who can be the fourth? Who can be the fourth team? And the entire stadium of 75,000 plus was going, who? And we hear the Hardys music. I love that they're not completely broken Hardys, but they're not the Hardys. They're somewhere that sweet spot of between. You know, they're kind of like a little bit of a watered down version of the Delete broken Hardys, which is great because they're still saying delete. They're still kind of getting, Matt has still that kind of like intonation, you know, like he's changing his voice a little bit from time to time. And like how Michael Cole said that, that WrestleMania is about to be broken, so I like that they're kind of, acknowledging that sort of not full storyline, but a variation of it, which is cool. Match-wise, this was great. This was 3.5 stars. This was a really good matchup. It was really short, too. It was about 11 minutes or 12 minutes long, if I remember putting up the timer on my watch correctly. And I really enjoyed that this was spot heavy. Everyone loved seeing the Hardys back. People screaming, delete, this is awesome, welcome back. They looked great. They're in shape. They can still go. They can still wrestle. Obviously, they're the Hardys. Come on. And this, I think, really shows that the grudge that Vince and Jeff had because of how childish Jeff acted in summer of 2009 with drugs and everything. And I think that Vince sees that Jeff has been clean for the past 4 years. And he's, his probation's over. He can go on tours. He can do everything. He's back on track. He's healthy. He can obviously go. Matt's always been on good terms with WWE. They just kind of, parted ways in 2010 because, differences, creative differences, and, Matt wanted to do his own thing. So I'm very, very happy that Vince realized that these two guys really deserve a spot on the main roster. And I think that Vince McMahon himself loves these guys because I don't think he would bring them back at WrestleMania, put him into a title match, and give them the Raw Tag Team titles the very first night. They're back at WrestleMania nonetheless. So I think there's a very bright future for the Hardys in the WWE. And I don't know how long the deal they signed, but I think that eventually we will see Jeff Hardy kind of go separate ways and Matt Hardy go separate ways because I think they deserve that eventually down the line, maybe in a year and a half. But for the next year or so, it is going to be great to see them redefine tag team wrestling again because they are phenomenal. Continuing on, this was really, really, really unenjoyable because I personally don't give a fuck. I like the rivalry, but I knew the match was going to suck, and it did. Thank God it was less than 10 minutes long. Jesus Lord, thank goodness gracious. I'm talking about the Miz and Maurice versus the mixed tag match between Miz and Maurice versus John Cena and Nikki Bella. I predicted that he would, propose at the end, which he did. John Cena and Nikki Bella won. I hate the way they won. Together in the ring, making them tap out. I don't want to talk about it. This was horrible. I don't even want to rate this. Goodbye. Peace out. See you later, John Cena. Bye, Nikki. Bye, Felicia. And then we get to Seth Rollins against Triple H. Probably one of the best rivalries in recent memory. I really don't understand why Triple H's entrance was so simplistic. I still dug it. I thought that, the whole biker thing was great. I thought the jacket he was wearing was awesome. Like the motorcycle was great. But I just think it was really simplistic compared to like last year's and the year before that and the year before that. and especially like, you know, especially 31 and 30, and, you know, and in 27. I thought those WrestleMania's entrances were great. This one was just okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was just okay. However, with that being said, Seth Rollins' entrance was awesome. He was like the Gold Ranger, baby, like a Gold Power Ranger. And I love how he had like the fire and he lit up the entire ramp, and it kind of, you know, it had like the fire going all the way through like the Titantron of the ramp into the ring. That was really cool. And the match itself wasn't bad. I think that the match itself, they told a very good story. I like how they really focused on, you know, the knee of Seth Rollins, and kind of, you know, them trying both to do the pedigree, and then, you know, and then Stephanie McMahon was in there. They told a very good story. Now, the match itself could have been better. It obviously was non-sanctioned, and, you know, I thought the match itself could have been better. I thought instead of giving it, you know, 3 stars, I could have given it 4. You know, instead of just being a good match, it could have been an amazing match. But still, overall, I was very pleased. It was a nice 20, I think it was like 25 minutes or so, 23 minutes or so, whatever the hell it was. Very enjoyable match. I was entertained. I was rooting for Seth, and it was great that Seth Rollins won. I really, really, really enjoyed the way that this rivalry is concluded from the looks of it, and hopefully Seth moves on to, you know, even better things in the future. Moving on, this was very, 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 very short. I thought this match would go on for much longer. Because I wanted it to go much longer, and these two guys did prove me wrong, because I thought their No Mercy match sucked dick. And for the time they had like 10 minutes. These two guys went on for only 10 minutes, and the mind games Braid played, and you know what I'm talking about, like when he was standing on the side of the ring with his, you know, beard looking downwards, and he was being all freaky, and he was crawling in the ring. They had like, you know, they had like disgusting like cockroaches on the ring, and they had like, you know, like worms and like regular worms. They had worms and like dirt, playing mind games with Randy Orton. But all in all, Randy Orton ended with an RKO, second RKO. One of it was at the outside of the ring, second one was inside the ring. And this match was good. I mean, it was short, but it was a 3-star match nonetheless. It was a very good match. 3-star. I want to give it 3.5, but I can't, because they could have went that extra mile, but they didn't. It's a good match. 3 stars. Really, really, really did enjoy it. I'm glad that Randy Orton won. I like Randy Orton. I would have been fine if Bray Wyatt won too, because I love Bray Wyatt. But I think Randy Orton needed this championship, because he hasn't held the world title since WrestleMania 30, since he dropped it off to Daniel Bryan. So he kind of deserves it, and he won the Royal Rumble. So it's cool to see that SmackDown's going to have a babyface champion, and a worthy one at that too. So continuing on, this was surprisingly fun and entertaining. Brock Lesnar against the defending Universal Champion Goldberg. It was about 5 minutes long, about 4 minutes and 40 some seconds long, whatever the hell it was, the exact time. It was below 5 minutes. But it was great. I mean, it was fantastic. We saw 4 spears from Goldberg. We saw jackhammer. We saw, you know, one of the spears was like through the barricade. We saw 10 German suplexes, an F5. We saw a great just brawl, a quick 5-minute brawl, an actual like fight, like an actual like first round MMA fight. You know what I mean? Like one round in the UFC, like a championship, you know, 5-minute round, first round, done with. You know what I mean? From Brock Lesnar. I really, really dug that. And I love how Brock lit up when after he did the 9th suplex, the entire crowd was just like 10, 10, 10, 10, and he was just like, you know what, I'll do it for you, and everyone who I was watching was just like, one more for us, you're advocate, come on, for us. And I like how Brock Lesnar, he's not necessarily baby, but he's not necessarily heel, he's that perfect tweener, that he's just like, he's sort of like this cocky guy that you can't help but cheer, but you can also boo sometimes. So really dug that Brock Lesnar won. He's the Universal Champion. Really, 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 really dig that. And he was advertised for Payback. So hopefully he will fight more than just every other pay-per-view. Hopefully we do see him on every Raw-specific pay-per-view, as long as the Big Four. And I think that is very doable, because now they're not going to be doing a pay-per-view every 4 weeks, aka every 2 weeks, because every 2 weeks there's a pay-per-view, every 4 weeks there's a Raw/SmackDown pay-per-view. But now it's going to be where there's going to be breaks, like, you know, in 4 weeks you have Payback, and after that Raw won't have another pay-per-view in like 5 or 6 weeks. So you don't have to have Lesnar on every 3 to 4 weeks. He can appear every month and a half or 2, which is exactly when a Raw-specific pay-per-view rolls around. So you can have him on those pay-per-views. You can have him appear on a few Raws to set up a matchup, which is really good for business, in my personal opinion. And he can actually go out there and have long matches, unlike Goldberg. But overall, I have to tip my hat off. Goldberg did take some punishment in this match and stood up. So really good stuff there. I gave this 3.5 stars. Really good match for the short time, and really entertaining. Naomi defeating Alexa Bliss and all, you know, the other SmackDown competitors, women competitors, in a 6-pack challenge. This was short. This was a little over 5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. But it was short and sweet. it was short and sweet. There were some really nice spots. All the girls had like a little moment where they shined, and I like that Naomi won. I think she has improved dramatically as a wrestler. She's the second, two-time SmackDown Women's Champion, and I think this is a good sign for things to come on SmackDown in the women's division. I think that they have a bright future, and she's gonna have some really good rivalries with anyone on the roster. I think the next one is up. Mickie James should be going up against Naomi to give her some of that, hardcore wrestling in that ring, and I want to see how Naomi does against her. But all in all, I'll give this a solid 2.5 stars because it really wasn't all that. It was barely a little over 5 minutes, but had some good spots. Now we get to the main event. I apologize about that. My phone just went off. For the 3rd year straight, Roman Reigns main evented WrestleMania. This year against The Undertaker. Now, I could tell halfway through the match that this was it for Taker. His hip, you could definitely tell. I mean, we didn't see old school. We didn't see him going airborne. We didn't see him doing the famous, leg drop on the side of the ring. None of that. Even when Roman Reigns wanted to counter into his own tombstone, Undertaker couldn't pick his body up because of his hip. You can tell the lower up of his body that he wanted to, throw back up. He couldn't do it. At that point, I knew that this was it. I like how they made Roman Reigns spear him 4 times, Superman punch him also 4 times, and I knew that Roman Reigns would win. There was no doubt in my mind. Undertaker should have never lost to Brock Lesnar, and he should always have lost to one person, and that person should have been a star that is going to be a full-timer and carry the company on his back, and that's Roman Reigns. Whether you like it or hate him, he's #1 merchandise seller. He gets the loudest reaction. Doesn't matter if it's a boo or cheer, Roman Reigns is that guy. It depends on how they book him now. Do they book him as a baby or do they book him as a heel because he retired The Undertaker? It's his yard officially. Not only did he beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania, he retired him. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with him. But all in all, I'll give it a 3 out of 5 stars. I think they told a good story here of Undertaker being broken, old, and it was time for him to go. And Roman Reigns is the young dog. It's his yard. Love it. Love that story. But if you don't like the storytelling, this match wasn't all that good. It really wasn't. It was really 2 out of 5 stars. It was just okay. But because I enjoyed the story, because I knew that Roman Reigns was going to win, and I liked the way they were doing it, it was a good match for me personally. All in all, this year's WrestleMania, I have to give a solid 4 stars in total, with emotion, the outcomes I personally enjoyed, match quality, presentation. All in all, it was an amazing WrestleMania. One of the better ones of all time for sure. Definitely one of the better ones of all time for sure. Not in top 5, but top 10, no doubt about it. Really enjoyable, really good stuff from all of the guys here and all of the girls. And Vince McMahon really did outshine himself with the presentation. Anything from the start of the show with America the Beautiful, to the jets flying over the stadium, to the pyros, opening, closing. Great stuff right here. If you enjoyed WrestleMania, comment in the comment section below. Let's have a conversation about it. If you enjoy my review, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Really do appreciate that as well. Hope you have a wonderful day, and peace out, guys.
I've been so alone ever since I left the tribe. That's just how it goes, guess I like to